Welcome to the Coherent Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Jemima House. Today's episode is called The View from Inside is Incomplete. And I'm coming to you with something that feels quite personal. It's certainly something that I have encountered and possibly not dealt with in the best way. So what I want to talk to you about is being a founder and seeing other perspectives or being open to other people's input in terms of solving challenges or streamlining processes, making things easier. I've certainly in the past had a tendency to bypass input from other people because I am very used to getting things done on my own, as are many founders, I believe. Whatever happens, we will find a way. We'll find a way. That's kind of our mantra. So when people come forward, even with the best of intentions, it often can feel like they don't really know what you're dealing with. And also that what they are suggesting or proposing is not actually relevant to your situation. Which, of course, is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's kind of self-perpetuating that then you have to do everything because it's very difficult to accept help. Now, this is slightly different from being hyper-independent. I'm not actually talking about that, although that is also something that I have dealt with in the past. That's a whole different episode. This is more about being inside of what you've built and maybe not being able to see what other people can see. So you built something because it's important to you to create some kind of positive change, and there was never a question about your capability. None whatsoever. You're highly capable. You're absolutely equipped to do whatever you need to do. And if you don't have the tools, you'll find them and you'll get them, right? That's what being a founder is about. What does tend to be a problem is when you're inside what you've built and are building, your coordinates are not necessarily optimum for looking at the bird's eye view, looking at the structure. So what tends to happen is that any issues or challenges that you do face inside the business always look like a people problem or a process problem. Now, that's not to say that those things don't exist. They really do. But it is rarely only a people problem or a process problem. It's a system problem. So when you are encountering the kind of friction that founders do encounter that feels so frustrating and is like it's the thing that is getting in the way of you getting to where you want to be and the impact you want to make and the success that you want to have, that friction has got a source, but it's almost never in the place that you're looking. And I want to draw attention to that today because sometimes and this is from my own experience, I know this, sometimes it is so hard to be able to see the whole rather than the elements that make up the whole, the components that build the whole thing. Because you've built it, you know each piece intimately, and to be able to get enough distance and enough perspective to see how all those pieces work together sometimes feels crazy making, and it feels impossible. The problem that I see, and that I have experienced and I see it happening in other people's businesses, is that the systems that we've inherited, that we need a system, like, make no mistake, there has to be one, because otherwise how are you going to run your business? But those systems, we've inherited them from years ago, the Industrial Revolution, or maybe even further back, so like hundreds of years. It's a recognised system. You know, you've got decision making at the top, you've got labour at the bottom, and it's all pyramid shaped. What happens, the nature of this system is that it rewards performance over realness. So it's better at creating performance than it is at being adaptable. And what happens when you prioritise performance, other really important things get sidelined. And that's not anybody's fault. That just is what that particular system creates. So things like creativity, things like flexibility, adaptability, wellness, those things all lose out because performance is prioritised. And now, where this often goes is that people tend to inherit this horrible limiting belief that you can either have ethics or you can have financial success, but you can't have both. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. What I do believe is that the system we've inherited says that's true. The pyramid system says you can either be ethical and broke, or you can be financially successful and have questionable ethics. But those beliefs belong to the system. They don't belong to individual businesses. Now, when you look at using a different model for your system, a different framework to organise the people, you can create a structure that allows financial success alongside values and ethics. I know it's radical. It is radical. But it is possible. So sometimes, yes, the most intelligent move that a founder can make is to change their seat. So metaphorically speaking, if you can change where you're sitting, then you will change what you can see. Which is why, in order for somebody to support you at the level that you're at, you require someone who has that clarity and who is a visionary, because that is their nature, to look at the whole rather than get lost in the detail, which is so easy to do when you are the creator, when you're the founder. It's such an interesting place to be. We're existing in end stage capitalism, right? We're in a world that absolutely celebrates financial success, and it can feel so challenging to try and exist in that world and be values led. And my mission is to show you how that can be done. So in the show notes, make sure you have a quick look, because there's a link to the Executive Diagnostic and Triage session. It's exactly for this. Basically 75 minutes where you and I get together and we locate where the friction is, so that you know exactly what is going on and you can get back the hours that it's been costing you on a weekly basis. I am so excited to speak to some ethical founders who want to really explore this idea of shifting from a pyramid-shaped leadership model to a circular model. It's really radical. And I know that founders don't tend to be risk averse. I'm certainly not. But this is a big undertaking. This is really massive. And I'm excited for it. And I think there are some people out there who are also excited for it. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you same time next week.